So I've had this shiny little gold card for just about 4 months now, and I've definitely got some mixed opinions on this card. In this video, I want to explain why. So I guess the best place to start is right at the beginning. When I first got this card in the envelope and got to feel the metal premium design with the cool little Centurion logo on it, it was honestly the best thing ever. Before it, I mostly only had plastic cards like this one here, so when I felt the Amex for the first time, I was like, wow, just this physical card is honestly worth the $325. But honestly, that feeling goes away pretty quickly. It's kind of like when you get a brand new car and you spend weeks speccing it out, and then when you finally pick it up from the dealership, for the first month of driving it, it's like the coolest thing ever. And then, it's just like any other car, and you don't get that same special feel as when you first drove it. So if you're like me, and this is your first time getting a premium card, it feels like you're going from something like a Corolla to a BMW. But after that honeymoon effect started to wear off, I started to see some of the downsides with this card. My main problem is the current state of the annual fee and then the statement credits that come with it to justify. So right now, the annual fee is sitting at $325, but they claim to give you $424 in statement credits to justify that. But in my opinion, that's like saying you get an extra $100 from Costco if you add up all the little free samples that they give you throughout the year. So let's talk about these statement credits. The first thing that they give you is $120 to Uber. You can use this to book Ubers through the app, but the way that I do it is I go on Uber Eats and then place pickup orders. I'm going to use my normal Chipotle order as the bar here, and as you can see, it's usually about $10.82 if I order pickup through the app. And then when I go into the Uber Eats app and place an order for pickup at the same place, it's the exact same price. So this is a true statement credit for me. It's a little bit annoying having to go through Uber, but it's whatever. I'll count that as a true statement credit. Next up, we have the $120 dining credit. That dining credit includes Grubhub, Cheesecake Factory, Goldbelly, Wine.com, and then Five Guys. So first of all, I don't even know what Goldbelly or Wine.com is. And then Five Guys is honestly not that good and pretty overpriced. I personally would rather just go to In-N-Out Burger. And then I only tried to go to Cheesecake Factory once at the beginning of this year. And after I walked in and they sat me at a table, I actually ended up leaving because it took over 30 minutes before a server even showed up to my table. But regardless of that one bad experience, Cheesecake isn't a place that I'd normally go to eat. So that leaves Grubhub. And in theory, you could use Grubhub the way that I use Uber and just go in the app and place a pickup order. The only problem is that ends up being way more expensive. On Grubhub, you can see that it is $14.71 for the exact same thing. So usually when you order pickup through Grubhub, it's about 30 to 40% more expensive. That is still the best way to use that statement credit for me, but you're definitely not getting full value. And also with these statement credits, I have a tendency to go and get more expensive food. For example, instead of getting Chipotle, which is $10 and in my budget, I would go get a really yummy poke bowl for like $20, but because of that statement credit, it reduces the price that's being charged my card to $10. And then I only spent $10 in my budget. Now that's definitely a personal problem, but I just want to see if any of you guys do the same thing. All right, so the last two credits that we'll be covering is two brand new ones. These are the new statement credits they added to justify the $325 annual fee. So first up, you have a Resi credit. You get $100 total, splitting up into $50 semi-annually. So first of all, I didn't even know what Resi was until Amex added this as a statement credit. Apparently, Resi is a software that restaurants use. Restaurants use it to do all their reservations, and then it lets the host know where to sit people. So it's kind of like a worse version of OpenTable, if you know what that is. But if you use your Amex Gold at restaurants that do use that software, you get that $50 statement credit. But this is a credit for most people that you're going to have to go out of your way to use. At the end of December, I started to look at places to use this, and I ended up running out of time to use it just because all the places around me I never even heard of before, and they didn't even look that good. So I missed out on that credit. You then have a $7 a month Dunkin' credit. I personally have never been to Dunkin' even once in my life. The other day I was looking to go there, but when I was looking at the amount of caffeine in their drinks, it was just way too juiced up. I usually only take caffeine before going to the gym in the form of pre-workout, and the only time I drink coffee is usually on my rest days. If I'm feeling kind of tired, I'll have like 50 milligrams just so I can make it through the day. And you can find stuff at like Starbucks for that amount, but Dunkin' has so much caffeine in all their drinks, it wasn't worth it to go out of my way and get that $7 monthly credit. Again, that's another personal problem, but I would assume that most of you weren't regularly going to Dunkin' before they added this credit. And the reason that I explained all that is because even for someone like me that's an avid credit card user, I have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to it, has a hard time using all these statement credits. But the majority of people that are getting this card usually have a lot of money, and I really doubt that they're going through the trouble to go on Uber and use those little pickup dining statement credits or whatever. I've worked at some very high-end restaurants in the past, and probably the most common form of payment is the Amex Gold or the Amex Platinum. Those will probably make up about 35, maybe 40% of all the transactions at the restaurant. And then you'll see Chase Sapphire Preferred and Reserve take up probably another 20%. And then you also surprisingly see a lot of Anywhere Costco Visas. And then the rest are Venture X's, some Savers, and then just random cards like Apple Cards and Quicksilvers and Double Cashes and whatnot. Anyways, I really doubt those people that were going to the restaurant and putting hundreds of dollars on their Amex Gold or even Platinum that doesn't earn 4x back in dining are going through the hassle of using all those statement credits. They don't care. And if you're not using any of those statement credits, you're going to have to spend over $5,000 if you're redeeming at 1.5 cents per point to just break even on the annual fee. So I would assume that's how Amex is making a lot of their money. Probably back in the day, those rich people's financial advisors probably told them that the Amex cards were best for their spending. And that might have been true like 5 years ago when the Amex cards were actually justifiable. But now I feel like Amex is making a lot of money from those unused statement credits. And then of course, all those transaction fees that they're charging the merchant. I will say though that this card isn't all bad. I've definitely had a lot of good experiences since I've got it. First is the sign-up bonus. You can see by the screenshot in my Amex app that I now have over 120,000 American Express membership rewards points. I also got an extra $100 in statement credits for just normal dining. That sign-up bonus right there will probably pay for the annual fee for the next 5 or 6 years. I also like that this is a charge card, meaning I can just put money on it and not have to worry about high credit utilization hurting my credit score. One of the best things with this card is probably the customer service. You hear a lot of other people talk about how good it was, and I didn't really buy into it until I've had this experience for myself. Initially, I was a little bit disappointed with their customer service because I got this card when they had the white gold option, and I chose the normal gold, but later decided that I wanted the white gold. So I messaged their customer service, and then they told me I had to wait like 14 days before I get a new card design. And then I messaged them like 14 days later, and they told me the white gold card design was gone and there was nothing they could do about it. But Amex customer service absolutely redeemed themselves. This is kind of an embarrassing story, but I'm going to tell it anyways. I was looking to sell my car about 2 months ago, and someone messaged me on Craigslist and we were going back and forth and we were about to meet up, but they were like, hey, can you buy this Carfax? It wasn't actually a Carfax. It was like an off-brand one. And I was like, I don't really want to, but then they're like, just buy it. That way I make sure that there's no accidents or anything. And then I was like, okay, whatever, I'll buy it. And then after I bought it, they ghosted me. And it turns out this is a common phishing scam. But I told Amex customer service about it, and they instantly gave me a statement credit for it. I also had my card charged for some insurance, which was probably by the same people. I canceled my card right after that, but I told the Amex customer service and they also reimbursed me for that fraudulent purchase as well. So excellent customer service, and that's one of the reasons why I like using a credit card a lot more than a debit card. Amex also has excellent purchase protection. If I was to buy something like these Beats here and then I went ahead and then lost it a couple days later, Amex would actually reimburse me for that, which is way better than the purchase protection on the Visa cards because that usually doesn't cover lost items, and even the stolen ones, there's a bunch of terms and conditions. So honestly, if I'm buying something that I know has a high likelihood to break or get damaged or something, I feel a lot better putting it on my American Express Gold than I do putting it on even like a 2% cashback Visa card, because I'd rather have the peace of mind rather than an extra dollars of cash back. I just want to say, make sure you're not playing the system. Don't buy something and then claim it was fraud. I already had a couple of my friends be like, hey, couldn't in theory I just buy stuff and be like, oh, someone stole my card, and then get it for free? And I guess you could commit financial fraud if you wanted to, but I'm not going to recommend that. You're going to get caught eventually. Trust me. I made it sound like I've done it and got caught. Trust me, as in whatever. The best way to redeem your points is for flights. I haven't done any redemptions yet, so I can't speak on this too much, but from what I've seen, you're usually going to get 1.5 cents per point just by transferring it to Delta to do most of your domestic travel. Usually you're only going to get that 2, 3, 4 cents per point if you're doing the aspirational travel where you're going to an island like 20 hours away or going to the Maldives or whatever. But for just visiting your mom and pop in Delaware, you're probably going to get around 1.5 cents per point. The American Express Gold is definitely not the powerhouse that it used to be, but it's still by far the best American Express card in my opinion. The problem with it now, with its current $325 annual fee, is that you're going to most likely be losing value because the statement credits don't fully justify the annual fee. If you're like me, then you're probably getting about $200 worth of value from the statement credits. And if you're redeeming at 1.5 cents per point, you're still going to have to spend around $2,000 in that 4X category just to justify the annual fee. Before, it had a $250 annual fee, but you got around $200 worth of credits because you're only getting about 70% of that Grubhub $120 credit. But with the previous version, you could pretty much hit the sign-up bonus and you weren't forced to put thousands of dollars to spend just to make up the annual fee. This video has kind of turned into a rant, But the reason why I'm so torn is because on one hand, it's really the only card that gives you an uncapped percentage for groceries and dining, besides that saver card, of course. But with the saver card, you would, of course, need to get one of the venture cards to make it valuable. But the Amex Gold statement credits aren't that good, so I'm torn whether this card is worth it because it does give you good rewards, but the statement credits, I don't know. I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's good for about 3 or 4 years because of that sign-up bonus, but then after a while, it's going to make more sense to just use the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserve and then pair that with the Custom Cash or the AAA Daily Advantage, or just go with the Capital One Duo.